Hey everybody.
During the
I just wanted to give everyone a quick update. I have my trees over here that are producing life sprouts. Just kind of move them around and they'll keep producing until you can merge them to get the kind of flower that you want. I've gotten up to the Brilliant Life Flower 6. I have 2 of them. I'm actually going to try to make my way up to this level 8 life orb. It's going to take quite a few though, so it'll be a while before I can actually get there, but I have my dragons working on orbs. I still need to finish, of course, the Harvest from Dead Plant Quest 2. I need 9 more. So I'm gonna, I guess,
tell you in the private interviews, there is never any of what you saw on Thursday. It is 1 hour on the Republican side, 1 hour on the Democrat side.
I have one of these ready, but
I don't
know if I want to
done privately because it is
get rid of that much land or not.
Investigations that are being done right now. The Lois Lerner investigation that was just announced, was that public or private?
I'll just do this one. I just need 9 more.
If this process was good enough for other presidents, why isn't it good enough for President Trump? Representative Gowdy,
Let's do it right here.
finished that statement by saying, the private ones have always produced
See where it
the
gets me.
best results. The private ones, according to Trey Gowdy, have
That'll
always
probably
produced
get me
the best results.
somewhere.
President Trump complained that his counsel was not afforded the opportunity to participate during the Intel Committee's proceedings. But neither President
Can I
Nixon
have another one of those?
nor President Clinton
Where?
were permitted to have counsel participate in the initial fact-gathering stages when they were investigated by special counsel, independent counsel. President Nixon certainly had no
right here.
attorney present when the prosecutors and grand juries began collecting evidence about Watergate
That.
and related matters.
Okay.
President Nixon did not have
We
an
can
attorney
merge
present
this.
in this distinguished
here.
body when the Senate
Twin
Select
flower.
Committee on Watergate began interviewing witnesses and holding public hearings. Nor did President Clinton have an attorney present when prosecutors from the Office of Independent Counsel, Kenneth Starr,
Screenshot.
deposed witnesses and elicited
Okay,
their testimony
and
before a grand
see what we
jury.
get.
President Trump's attorney could have cross-examined the Intel Committee's counsel during his presentation of evidence before the House Judiciary Committee.
I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of
That
that.
would have functioned
That.
as the equivalent opportunity afforded to
Oh,
President
look, it gave me
Clinton
a spotted
to have
mushroom.
his counsel cross-examine Kenneth Starr, which he did
So we can actually
at length.
this over here.
President Trump
Click
was
on
provided
that.
a level of transparency and the opportunity to
Screenshot.
participate consistent with the highest standards of
what's
due
that
process
screenshot?
and fairness given to other presidents who found themselves in the midst of an impeachment inquiry.
Okay.
The president, and I'm
So we
winding
got
down.
that.
The president's next procedural complaint
And then we can see
is that it was
what's
unconstitutional
unlocked
to
here.
exclude agency counsel from participating in congressional depositions. The basis for the rule excluding agency counsel is straightforward. It prevents agency officials who are directly implicated in the abuses Congress is investigating from trying to
Okay,
prevent
then we're
their
gonna
own
need that
employees
red
from
mushroom
coming
there.
forward to tell Congress and the American people the truth. It's common sense. The rule protects the rights of witnesses by allowing them to be accompanied in depositions by personal counsel, a right that was afforded to all of the witnesses who appeared in this matter. Agency attorneys have been excluded from congressional depositions of executive branch officials for decades under both Republicans and Democrats, including Republican Chairman Dan Burton, Republican Chairman Darrell Issa, Republican Chairman Jason Chaffetz, Republican Chairman Trey Gowdy, Republican Chairman Kevin Brady, and Republican Chairman Jeb Henseling, just to name a few. Again, the Constitution provides the House with the sole power of impeachment and the sole authority to determine the rules of its proceedings, which were fair to all involved. Given the Constitution's clarity on this point, the President's argument that he can engage in blanket obstruction is just dead wrong. President Trump also objects that the House minority lacks sufficient subpoena rights. But the subpoena rules that were applied in the Trump impeachment inquiry were put into place by my good friends and colleagues on the other side of the aisle, House Republicans, when they were in the majority. We are playing by the same rules devised by our Republican colleagues. President Nixon did not engage in blanket obstruction. President Clinton did not engage in blanket obstruction. No president of the United States has ever acted this way. Lastly, we should reject President Trump's suggestion that he can conceal all evidence of misconduct based on unspecified confidentiality interests. Those are his exact words.
Where's that other mushroom?
Interests. But not once in the entire impeachment inquiry did he ever actually invoke executive privilege. Perhaps that's because executive privilege cannot be invoked to conceal evidence of wrongdoing. Perhaps that's because executive privilege does not permit blanket obstruction that includes blocking documents and witnesses from the entire executive branch. Perhaps President Trump didn't invoke executive privilege because it has
I'm just
never
missing
been
one
accepted
mushroom and I don't know where.
as a sufficient basis for completely
Sucker.
and totally defying all impeachment inquiries and
No,
subpoenas.
there's two right here.
Or perhaps President Trump didn't invoke executive privilege because when President Nixon did so,
Two.
he lost
Okay, then there's that
decisively,
one, so that makes we have two big ones,
unanimously,
and we need
clearly.
one more little one
Before
to
the
make
Supreme
another
Court.
big one.
Whatever the explanation,
Where
President
the
Trump
heck
never
is it at?
invoked executive privilege, so it is not a credible defense to his obstruction of Congress. President Trump has lastly suggested that his obstruction is justified because the top aides are absolutely immune from being compelled to testify before Congress. Every federal court to consider the so-called doctrine of absolute immunity has rejected it. 2008, a federal court rejected an assertion by the 43rd
I don't
President
know.
of the United
Is there
States
one in here?
that White House counsel Harriet Miers was immune from being
Bamboo
compelled to testify,
shrub,
noting that the president had failed to point to a
wiles,
single judicial opinion to justify
heels,
that claim.
life flowers.
And on November 25th of last year, another federal judge rejected President Trump's claim of absolute immunity for former White House counsel Don McGahn. The court concluded executive branch officials are not absolutely immune from compulsory congressional process. No matter how many times the executive branch has asserted as much over the years. Even
Well,
if
it
the
has to
president
be here somewhere.
expressly
Maybe it's in
directs such officials
under one of the clouds or
not to
something.
comply. The court added,
Probably so.
simply stated, the primary takeaway from the past 250 some odd years of recorded American history is that
Go ahead and merge
presidents are
that real
not
quick.
kings. The president
Oh man, are you
is not
serious?
a king.
I was so not trying to do that. That really
President Trump
upsets me.
tried to cheat. He got caught. And then he worked hard to cover it up. He must be held accountable for abusing his power. He must be held accountable for obstructing Congress. He must be held accountable for breaking his promise to the American people.
My foreign policy will always put the interests of the American
Hey, I could have just bought the little
and
bottle.
American security above all else.
Don't
Has to be first. Has to be. That will be the
10.
foundation of every single
I only
decision
have 25
that I will
tonight.
make.
I'd be missing a whole lot of
What does
gems.
it mean to put America
No.
first?
Oh, that's only 10 too. That's good.
America is a great country.
Okay.
But above all else,
I cheated and bought the
I
little
think
bottle.
America is an
I'm trying to
idea,
find that mushroom. I really hope
a precious
that
idea.
I didn't delete it
An
or get rid
idea
of it or
that
something.
has withstood the test of time. An enduring idea. Year after year, decade after decade, century
Maybe our
after
mushroom can
century,
be here. Let's see.
as we continue our long, necessary, and majestic march toward a more perfect union. America is an idea. One person, one vote.
Oh, it is.
Liberty
Okay,
and
good.
justice for all.
Whew, I
Equal
thought
protection
I got rid of it.
under
Okay,
the
so
law.
the mushroom is
Government of the
underneath
people, by the people,
the
and for the
vial
people. The
key,
preeminence
cloud key.
of the rule of law.
What is it called?
America
Tiny Spirit Vial Level
is an
4
idea.
Cloud Key. And there is
We
the
can
other
either
mushroom, so you
defend
guys don't
that
have to spend your
idea,
gems like I did. Even if
or we
it's
can
just 10.
abandon it.
10's enough.
God help us all. If
We
we
can
choose.
get that. Okay, so
to
we just
abandon
need the one up here.
Majority Leader is recognized.
Mr. Justice, we'll take a 30-minute break for dinner.
And we'll get that one later, I
So
guess.
ordered.
Okay, so let me get that out the way. I can move that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tanya Rivero in New York. We are in a recess on day 4 of President Trump's trial in the Senate. This is the third and final day of arguments by the House
Just gonna get rid
managers.
of these.
Today,
Oh, I just
Democrats
got rid
are
of them.
focusing on what they
Didn't
say
need
is
that.
President Trump's obstruction of Congress. They say the president and his administration committed an impeachable offense by withholding aid to Ukraine as a way of pressuring that country into publicly announcing an investigation into the president's political rival, Joe Biden. And then he illegally blocked Congress's constitutionally mandated power to investigate his actions. This is all according to the Democratic managers. We have heard from all 7 impeachment managers so far today. And let's listen in now to Chuck Schumer.
The president's lawyers will have their work cut out for them. The House managers did an amazing job and set a very, very high bar. which it will be difficult for the president's lawyers to overcome. The House presentation has been strong, detailed, comprehensive, and at many times compelling. Just drew you right into it. And they successfully, in advance, preempted just about all of the arguments that the president's lawyer will make. They anticipated what those arguments would be, and they answered them even before the president's lawyers got there, and they have to do that because they don't get another chance to rebut the way McConnell set out the rules. Let me pay Hakeem Jeffries an incredible compliment. Hakeem, my fellow Brooklynite, you were as good as Adam Schiff. And he did an amazingly great job. Now, we didn't hear too much about the Article 2 in the impeachment charges till this afternoon, but I believe it's the sleeper. The argument was incredible. It was strong. And it's become clear that President Trump demanded complete immunity, participated in a blanket obstruction, and had absolute defiance. President Trump, in saying he wanted immunity for everything, past, present, and future, said, I'm not a president, I'm a king. And no one can stop me. Nobody can oversee me. Nobody can put a check on me. That is not America. What President Trump has demanded and what justifies the House bringing these articles is totally out of sync with the Constitution, the Founding Fathers, and every other impeachment trial. Neither President Andrew Johnson, President Nixon, or President Clinton had the gall, the temerity, to come close to even asking what President Trump is asking for, which is total absolute. He says, I'm going to defy all subpoenas, past, present, and future. I'm not even going to, I don't even have to wait to see what the subpoena is. I'm not going to answer it. That is so against what the Founding Fathers set up in this country. It is so against what we've had as our tradition, and it is so against
I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm supposed to be doing something.
The president is, and the president even knows the weakness of his argument, because he says he wants complete executive privilege, but he hasn't invoked it once, not once, in this trial, in any of the cases. I'll take a few questions on the subjects I talked about first, but others too.
Push back on the ideas some Republicans have been talking about related to executive privilege concerns. Do you believe that the Article 2 presentation dovetails and kind of helps your point?
The Article 2 presentation by the House managers decimates.
I think I'm going to go ahead and
if you have any
try to get up to that mushroom up there.
Decimated.
Hope it doesn't take me
all the
too
arguments
far.
the Republicans cited, Hakeem Jeffries listed, that the president's counsel wasn't allowed to be inside. He listed 10 Republican congressmen who have conducted oversight in exactly the way that the House managers and the House committees did, the Democratic House committees.
I guess your response to ABC's reporting earlier today of the reporting with Trump saying...
Yeah. Have they verified the recording yet?
They have.
Pardon?
Yes.
Okay. Well, as long as it's verified, this is the kind of despicable conduct that the president engages in. The despicable kind of conduct.
Okay,
a lifelong public servant. A woman who dedicated her life to this country. And because she's standing for truth and won't let him break the law, he is vicious to her. No president should be like that. Regardless of anything having to do with impeachment, no president should be like that and treat people that way. But he has done it time and time again. Okay? Thank you, everybody.
All right, we were listening to Senator Chuck Schumer there. It looks like Two more senators, or at least one more, is taking the mic. This is Rick Scott. Let's listen in.
Sheree,
Oh yeah, let me go ahead and
putting
get
out
this out the
tweets all
way.
day about what Democrat senators have said in the past about the impeachment of
The
Bill
hero
Clinton,
mushroom
and
level
these individuals
2.
have come down here and said just the opposite of what they said back in 1999, and they've been doing it day after day. So I'm looking forward to the White House tomorrow, starting to set the record straight.
Now we can do our life forms to heaven,
this
and
has
we
just
need
been
675
I don't
land
know how many
deals.
times I've seen Ambassador Sondland
let's do
and
this.
Fiona Hill and all of them basically say the exact same thing. But I don't believe anything they've said so far is impeachable. But I do look forward to watching the White House present their case.
This is the fourth day that we've heard the Democrats make their arguments.
All right, we're going to pull away from the senators now and bring in our panel of Leslie Sanchez, Joel Payne, and Jessica Levinson. Leslie is a CBS News political contributor and Republican strategist. She's with me here on set. Joel is a CBSN political contributor, Democratic strategist, and former Senate leadership aide. He's in our Washington bureau. And Jessica is a professor at Loyola Law School in Los Angeles. And joining me on the phone is CBSN political contributor and Associated Press White House reporter, Steve Miller. Welcome to all of you. Jessica, I want to begin with you. What stood out to you from the Democrats' case today as they focused on Article 2, obstruction of Congress?
Well, what stood out to me is that this was a very methodical presentation. There was a lot of history. There was a lot of discussion of it's not just about this president. It's not just about this moment in our country. It's not just about this terribly polarized moment. It's about what every other president has done. It's about it being just categorically unacceptable that a president of the United States would say, I'm not complying with not just this subpoena over here or that particular request over here, but I'm just not complying with the impeachment process. This is very different from a narrow assertion of executive privilege. So I thought they placed their arguments well historically. I thought they placed them well very legally, and I thought it was organized very well.
So, Leslie, to continue on that point, I think Democrats were very careful to say, because they knew their audience here, they knew how they have to sway. They're going to sway these Senate Republicans. So they were saying, look, this isn't just about this particular president. This is about presidents in general. You may like this one, but you may not like the next one. And what you're doing here is giving away some of your own power. Do you think that argument can sway Senate Republicans?
I need one more to merge it into a level 2 chest.
But it wasn't necessarily effective. Part of the challenge is you have so many Republicans on a partisan bent who've already made up their mind. We've predetermined what the outcome's going to be. We all kind of read the last chapter. What's interesting about it when they were talking about historical context, when they brought up Richard Nixon, when they talked about this moment in time, I think the American electorate can't be ignored here. When you're talking about August of 1974, Richard Nixon, he had a 26% approval rating. It just
better orbs. I don't want nothing to do with those life
like, it's time to go. Do your goodbye and you're out of here. Closing call. You don't see that with the president. While you're, according to Gallup, more than half the country disapproves of the president's job, like 53%. Less than that, 46% want a conviction. So the tide of the American electorate generally doesn't want to remove the president, regardless of how passionate they are. They don't see it the same way.
I have like a junkyard down here. It's so junky.
That this is still just very much a political
but at least
process,
it's out the way.
And the popularity of this current president is swaying the way these senators are absorbing this information.
I think that people believe it's a highly partisan act. Had it come from the Mueller report, had it been a third-party entity that was removed from such a hyper-partisan process, we'd be having a different conversation. And many of those open-minded centrists, perhaps, I wouldn't call them never Trumpers, but people who not necessarily, enjoyed being on the bandwagon, those senators, would be more open to this idea. But the process itself did not allow for that to happen.
All right, I want to get back to that in a moment, but Joel, I want to turn to you now because today is
the final
day Democrats can make their arguments. What is the single biggest narrative they're trying to make clear before Republicans take the floor tomorrow?
Well, it's interesting to me, and last night when I joined you all, I said the words that stuck out to me were charm offensive. And I think that they extended that a bit today. But to Leslie's point, or rather to your point that you presented to Leslie, they really wanted to frame it around logic and emotion. So they obviously have the legal arguments there to really appeal to the logic of the members to say, These are the things that happen. These are the things that we know that happen. And there really is no defense from the president or his allies about those things. They're just saying it's not impeachable. The emotion part of it is what we got to when we're talking about, you know, future presidents, or when you're talking about this president, whether or not, you know, replace Marie Yovanovitch or replace, you know, Gordon Sondland with you. You know, the person who's holding the bag right now could very well be you down the line dealing with this president. And I thought that was a really compelling argument that Adam Schiff led the day with. I think that that's the highlight from today.
I agree with you. When he turned to those senators and he looked at them directly and he said, don't think that this president won't turn on you if it's in his interest. So, Zeke, what are you hearing from the White House? I mean, our understanding is White House officials say they don't expect to lose any Republican votes on the issue of witnesses. Is the White House still that confident?
That's what they're saying publicly. Privately, they are conceding that they're likely to lose more than 2. The question is, do they get to 3 or 4? That's sort of where things stand. There's also a quiet lobbying campaign, not being led by the White House, but by outreach by Mitch McConnell and others. To some of those moderate Democrats, Joe Manchin and others.
Why did I do that? See, I'm always messy up.
Unlikely right now, given their public statements, but that's sort of where things are. Likely more two Republicans cross over on the issue of witnesses that doesn't get to that threshold enough to get things over across the finish line. That, you know, the White House is preparing for that eventuality, but right now it's still a little too hard to tease out.
No. I'm moving it. See how I'm a screen cutter. Thank God I have my
chief of Washington
top things on.
That if they were to vote against the president, their head would, quote, be on a spike. So, I mean, do you think that this is something those 3 or 4 Republicans, who everyone's got their eyes on, need to keep in mind when they're thinking about their political futures?
Well, that's been a really big stick the president's been able
my
to hold.
sensuous
Not only
swan
has he,
lamp
in some cases, threatened to run support a primary opponent, which is just unheard of. You know, he faced very hard politics, but also raised a tremendous amount of money for perhaps a primary challenger. Those are very real threats. I wouldn't say they're veiled in any way.
Let's see what she has.
But this is part of the hard
I'm about to mess up something I already saw.
But it's going to be interesting, and I think Zeke talks about it. The 1 or 2.
See what she has.
If you know you're going to be under the 4
underneath her
threshold
wings
that you need, then you have those in competitive races who can take that no vote. And they look more independent. It gives them kind of, you know, political capital in their state, but still allows the Republican coalition to stay together.
Right. Okay. So, Jessica, if you were a member of the president's legal team, what are you listening most closely to from the impeachment managers as you prepare to lay out your case?
Well, so I think to take a step back, if we look at the impeachment process in general, and I will answer your question. What I would be thinking about if I were a member of the President Trump's defense team is I would be heartened to know that this actually is a political theater, emphasis on theater. So you do not have to have the law in your favor. You do not have to have the facts in your favor. And in fact, as Leslie said, we already know what the outcome is. So I think that they will not argue a lot about what the facts were, what actually happened. I don't think they're actually going to argue a lot about the law and what the founders envisioned when they thought about the impeachment clause. I don't think they're going to talk a lot about the specifics of what abuse of power is. I think that what they're going to say is they're going to turn the tables on the Democrats, and they're going to say, this has been a witch hunt from the beginning. This is not somebody you like. I think it will be more of what we heard from the House during the impeachment inquiries, where it was, don't look over here at President Trump, look over here at the Bidens. So I think there'll be a little bit of a distraction. And so again, I think there'll be this drumbeat of this is based on bias. The Democrats don't like President Trump. Look at former Vice President Biden. Look at his son. I think then they'll probably sum it up with some version of, you know what, you might not like what President Trump did, but does it really rise to the level of removing a president from office, parenthetical, removing a relatively popular president, at least compared to President Nixon from office.
So everything we've heard before, really nothing, substantially new. Is what you're saying.
Exactly.
So speaking of the defense, we're going to go to the president's personal counsel, Jay Sekulow, who spoke just moments ago. Let's listen.
President from the ballot in 2020. We are, 10.5 months out from an election, and they don't trust the American people to make a decision.
And there was such a state of urgency in moving this impeachment meeting over that Nancy Pelosi sat on it for 33 days. You don't get it every way, and that's what they're trying to do. So look, tomorrow morning we start our case. And we're going to put on, I believe,